The chaos inside the Morgan campaign headquarters could only be described as spectacular. Colorful banners emblazoned with "Jack Morgan for President" fluttered against the walls, battling the overwhelming din of excited chatter and frantic movement. Staff members, a mix of fresh-faced interns and battle-hardened strategists, were buzzing around like caffeinated bees, scrambling to finalize the last-minute details before the big debate. It was a scene straight out of a political comedy, one that the cameras had yet to capture. "Where's Jack?" Samantha shouted over the din, her voice cracking slightly with the weight of anxiety. As the campaign manager, she had grown accustomed to the roller coaster of emotions that came with being at the helm of a presidential bid, but today was different. Today was supposed to be the day they secured their lead. Today was supposed to be the day Jack charmed America with his carefully crafted rhetoric. The room fell silent as Sam's question hung in the air. After a few tense moments, one of the interns burst in through the double doors, panting. He's gone." "What do you mean, gone?" Sam's hands flew to her hips. "He can't just disappear. We have a debate in 3 hours." The intern gulped. "Well, you see, there was an accident." "An accident?" Sam repeated incredulously. "What kind of accident?" "A llama," the intern squeaked, his face a mix of confusion and disbelief. The campaign bus hit a llama. It was a whole thing. In that moment, as everyone processed the absurdity of the situation, the office door swung open again, and Eli Turner, an actor with dreams bigger than his talent, strolled in, unaware of the crisis unfolding. Clad in jeans that had seen better days and a t-shirt that read, "I'm not a doctor, but I play one in ads," he carried the air of someone who just stepped off a set for a sitcom about an average Joe. "Hey, anyone know where I can find a good sandwich?" Eli asked, looking around with his trademark cluelessness. The room collectively turned to him, a spark of inspiration igniting in Sam's eyes. You look just like him," she blurted out. "Look like who?" "The llama?" Eli furrowed his brow, completely missing the cue. "No, Jack Morgan." Sam nearly shouted. "We need a stand-in, and you're our best option." Eli scratched his head. "You want me to pretend to be a presidential candidate? Is this a joke? Because I don't think I can pull off the serious thing. I once auditioned for a soap opera and couldn't stop laughing when someone had to cry about a broken engagement." "No joke," Sam insisted, urgency coloring her tone. "Jack is missing, and if we don't do something fast, we'll lose all the momentum we've built. Just think, this could be your big break." As the pressure mounted, Eli felt a mixture of fear and excitement. Wait. You want me to give speeches? Debate? You do know I can't even win a game of charades, right? Just get up there, be yourself, and keep it light," Sam urged. "Trust me, it might just work. You've got that goofy charm that people might actually love." Eli blinked, the gravity of the situation hitting him. This was his chance, an opportunity to break into the spotlight in a way he'd never imagined. He could finally show Marina, the reporter he'd been crushing on for ages, that he was more than just the guy who got typecast as "dude at the bar" in every indie film. "Okay, I'm in. But if this goes south, I'm blaming the llama." Moments later, Eli was thrust into a whirlwind of preparation. A hairdresser fussed over his unruly curls while a stylist attempted to fit him into a suit 2 sizes too big. He felt like a marionette, strings pulled by a team determined to mold him into something he wasn't. But as he glanced in the mirror, he couldn't help but chuckle at the ridiculousness of it all. Okay, let's do this, Eli said, practicing a stiff smile that felt more like a grimace. He had no idea what he was getting into, but it felt better than another day stuck waiting for a callback. The debate hall was a sprawling arena filled with eager supporters, journalists, and curious onlookers, all buzzing with anticipation. Eli stepped onto the stage, the bright lights blinding him momentarily. He could see the podium set up in the middle, waiting like a stage for a one-man show, and he was the unwitting star. Ladies and gentlemen, the moderator announced, "Please welcome Jack Morgan." Eli's heart raced as he stepped forward, the weight of the name crashing down on him. He was not Jack Morgan. He was Eli Turner, the actor who couldn't land a role if it was written for him. But as he looked out at the crowd, their expectant faces pushing him to perform, something clicked. He threw caution to the wind and decided to channel every ounce of his personality into the moment. "Thank you, thank you. I'm thrilled to be here," Eli began, grinning like an over-caffeinated puppy. "I'd like to start by addressing the very serious issues we're facing today, like why are there so many awkward pauses in political speeches? Seriously, it's like everyone's afraid of saying something fun." Laughter erupted in the crowd, and for a moment, Eli felt like a rock star. He was no longer a stand-in, he was someone who could make people smile amid the political circus. He launched into a rambling story about his grandmother's pet parrot that could only say polka dots, but still managed to bring joy to everyone around. "Look, folks, if a parrot can bring happiness, why can't we? We need to focus on what really matters: healthcare, education, and yes, maybe even giving the llamas a little more respect." The audience roared with laughter, and Eli basked in the moment, realizing that he was actually connecting with them, not as a candidate, but as a human being. He wrapped up his speech with a cheeky grin, leaving everyone wanting more. As he walked off stage, breathless and exhilarated, Sam met him with wide eyes. "You did it. That was incredible." "Are you kidding?" "I was just winging it," Eli replied, still riding the high of performance. "Exactly. You were relatable. People loved you," she said, clapping him on the back. "We need to keep this going. You might actually be able to pull this off." Eli couldn't believe it. He was just an actor pretending to be a politician, and yet here he was, standing at the crossroads of a path he never dreamed of taking. In the days that followed, Eli found himself thrust deeper into the campaign, attending rallies, doing interviews, and even crafting social media posts that reflected his unique style. He discovered that voters responded to his authenticity and humor. He wasn't trying to fit into a mold, he was just being himself. But with popularity came challenges. Sam was both impressed and terrified by Eli's newfound fame. "You need to stick to the script more, Eli. You can't just joke about everything," she insisted after a particularly wild rally where Eli compared the state of the economy to a broken piñata. "What's wrong with being relatable?" Eli countered. "People want to laugh. They're tired of the same old political song and dance. But we need to maintain a professional image," Sam retorted, her eyes wild with the pressure. Eli couldn't help but chuckle at the absurdity. Here he was, a guy who once couldn't even land a role in a community theater production, and now he was being groomed to be a potential presidential candidate. As the campaign rolled on, Eli's bond with Marina deepened. She followed his journey closely, finding herself drawn to his carefree spirit and the way he navigated the world with genuine curiosity. They spent long hours discussing everything from politics to the best pizza toppings, and Eli's heart raced every time she laughed at his terrible jokes. "Why do you even want to be a politician?" she asked one evening, a curious gleam in her eyes. Eli paused, considering her question. Honestly, I never thought I'd be here. I just wanted to act. But now, I think it's about making a difference. It's about being a voice for people who feel unheard. And if I can do that while making them laugh, then why not? Marina smiled, her admiration for him growing. I think you're onto something, Eli. Just remember to stay true to yourself. And that's exactly what Eli intended to do. The more he embraced his quirky style, the more support he garnered. Voters began to see him as a refreshing alternative to the polished politicians who had dominated the landscape for too long, but the clock was ticking. The election was just around the corner, and the tension was palpable. Jack's unexpected reappearance loomed like a thunderstorm on the horizon, threatening to upend everything Eli had built. As the days marched toward the election, the campaign office buzzed with activity, but an undercurrent of tension simmered beneath the surface. Eli had become the face of the Morgan campaign, and while he relished the newfound attention, he couldn't shake the feeling that a storm was brewing. The mysterious reappearance of Jack Morgan loomed like a dark cloud, casting doubt over the exhilarating whirlwind Eli had found himself in. It was during a strategy meeting that the moment everyone had been dreading arrived. Sam stood at the front of the room, her expression unusually grim as she cleared her throat. We need to talk about Jack. Eli's stomach sank. Is he back? I mean, officially? He could feel the weight of the room's collective gaze pressing down on him. Yeah, he just walked through the door, Sam replied, frustration lacing her tone. He's ready to take back his campaign. A murmur rippled through the room, and Eli felt the air thicken with uncertainty. This was the moment he had both dreaded and anticipated. Jack was the real candidate, the polished politician, the man with the plan. Eli had been living in a dream, and now it was time to wake up. What happens to me? Eli asked, his voice barely above a whisper. The reality of his fleeting stardom hit hard. Eli, you've done an incredible job. You've connected with people in ways we didn't think possible. But Jack has the experience and the infrastructure to really win this, Sam said, her eyes softening with sympathy. I don't want you to think that your contribution was for nothing. I just started to believe I could actually make a difference, Eli replied, his voice thick with emotion. I mean, I was just pretending to be him. Now I feel like I'm losing something I just found. You have a place in this campaign, Sam reassured him. But it'll be different now. Just then, the door swung open, and in walked Jack, disheveled but somehow still exuding an air of confidence. He looked like a man who had returned from a long journey, not just physically, but emotionally as well. Eli couldn't help but notice the subtle shift in the room. It was as if a new gravitational pull had arrived. Hey everyone, Jack said, raising his hand in a casual wave. He focused on Eli. You did a hell of a job while I was gone, man. I've been watching you. His tone was surprisingly warm, devoid of the competitive edge Eli expected. Thanks, Eli managed, feeling a strange mixture of pride and anxiety. Jack's gaze swept over the room. I know I've put you all through a lot, and I appreciate the hard work. I want to get back to the issues and let's focus on what really matters. As Jack launched into a discussion about policies and strategies, Eli felt a growing sense of displacement. Here was Jack, the man who had inspired him to step into the spotlight, and yet he couldn't help but feel like a character in someone else's story. The next few days felt surreal as the campaign began to pivot back to its original direction. Eli was still invited to events, but it felt like a sideshow rather than the main act. The excitement he once felt was replaced by a creeping sense of insecurity. He sat in the back of the campaign bus, watching Jack engage with supporters, cracking jokes and delivering rehearsed lines that had once captivated him. "Hey," Marina said, slipping into the seat beside him one evening as the bus jostled along the highway. "You okay?" Eli shrugged, forcing a smile. "Just a little overshadowed, I guess. It's like I was the main event for a while, and now I'm just not." "Don't let it get to you," she said softly. "You've made an impact. People are still talking about you. And Jack seems different now. Like he's learned something from watching you." "Yeah, well, I don't know if it's enough," Eli replied, staring out the window as trees whizzed by. "I mean, he's got the experience. He's the real candidate. But you're the real deal too, Eli. You connected with people. You made them laugh. That matters," she insisted, her eyes shining with sincerity. "You've got something special, and I think Jack knows it. He might need you more than he lets on." Eli turned to look at her, the sincerity in her voice giving him a flicker of hope. "You really think so?" "Absolutely," she said, a smile breaking through his gloom. "Just stay true to yourself. That's what got you here." The following week, with the election just days away, the campaign entered its final stretch. There was a palpable energy in the air, a mix of nerves and excitement. Sam organized a rally in a park, and as Eli watched Jack step onto the stage, he felt a strange sense of loss and liberation, but then something unexpected happened. As Jack began his speech, he paused and looked out at the crowd, his expression shifting as he seemed to read the room. "You know, I've been out there, listening to what people want, and I realize that it's not just about what I want to say. It's about what you want to hear." Eli's heart raced as Jack continued. "I've seen someone come into this campaign and show us all what it means to be authentic. Eli Turner reminded us that politics doesn't have to be stuffy and rehearsed. It can be fun and relatable." The crowd erupted into applause, and Eli felt a rush of emotions. He had expected Jack to reclaim his position with a rigid formality, but here he was, acknowledging Eli's contribution in a genuine way. It was a moment of unexpected unity. Jack waved Eli up onto the stage, and the crowd cheered louder. Eli's legs felt like jelly as he stepped into the spotlight, suddenly back in the game. Hey everyone," he stammered, trying to channel the same energy he had on his first day. "I'm not running for president, but if I were, my first act would be to declare every Friday a National Pizza Day." Laughter rippled through the audience, and Eli could feel the warmth of their connection. "But seriously, we all want to make this country a better place, and it's going to take all of us working together. Jack and I might seem like opposites, but we both want the same thing, your voices to be heard." As he spoke, Eli realized that he didn't have to compete with Jack. They could complement each other. This was no longer just about the presidency, it was about representing the voices of the people, however unconventional that representation might be. The rally ended on a high note, and as Eli stepped down from the stage, Jack pulled him into a hug. "You're not just a stand-in anymore, Eli. You're part of this team. We need you." Eli's heart swelled with gratitude. In that moment, he felt like he belonged. As the days rolled on, the campaign continued to evolve, blending Jack's experience with Eli's humor and relatability. They found a rhythm, each bringing their strengths to the table, and for the first time, Eli felt like he was truly part of something bigger than himself. When election night arrived, the atmosphere in the headquarters was electric. Supporters packed the room, eyes glued to the screens as results trickled in. Eli stood beside Jack, feeling the palpable tension in the air. Sam paced nervously, her clipboard clutched tightly to her chest. "Look, no matter what happens tonight," Eli said to Jack, his voice steady, "I want you to know that we've already made a difference. We've connected with people, and that's what matters." Jack nodded, his expression thoughtful. "You're right. This campaign has been about more than just winning. It's about change, about inspiring people to engage with their government." As the results started coming in, the room erupted with cheers and gasps. Eli could hardly keep up with the numbers flashing across the screens. "Look at that!" Sam shouted, pointing. "We're ahead in key states." The excitement reached a fever pitch, and Eli couldn't help but feel swept away by the energy. They were a team, a strange but effective duo, making waves in a political landscape that often felt stagnant. As the night wore on, the final results were tallied. Eli stood hand in hand with Jack as the announcer declared them the winners. The room erupted in joy, confetti raining down like a celebratory storm. Eli turned to Jack, a smile breaking across his face. "We did it." Jack pulled him into a bear hug, lifting him off the ground in excitement. "You did it. We did it." In that moment, all the doubts and insecurities faded away. Eli realized that he had found his place, not just as a stand-in or a comic relief, but as a voice for change. He was more than just an actor, he was a part of something meaningful. As the celebration continued, Eli spotted Marina in the crowd, her eyes sparkling with pride. He made his way through the throng, catching her gaze as he approached. "You were amazing," she said, her voice filled with admiration. "You really connected with people out there." "Thanks," Eli replied, his heart racing. "But it wasn't just me. It was Jack, and the whole team. I finally feel like I found my purpose." Marina smiled, stepping closer. "You're not just an actor anymore. You're a leader." Eli grinned, his mind racing with possibilities. "Maybe we can make a difference together." As they exchanged knowing glances, Eli felt a surge of hope. The journey had been unpredictable, but it had brought him here, standing at the intersection of politics and passion, ready to embrace whatever came next. The night carried on, filled with laughter, speeches, and dreams of what the future could hold. Eli stood among friends, allies, and supporters, grateful for the winding path that had led him to this moment. He had stepped into the unknown, faced the absurdities of politics, and emerged not just as a stand-in, but as a vital part of a new narrative. And as the confetti settled around him, he knew that this was only the beginning.